So, are you ready? Are you ready to rumble? Always have theme music. Welcome to Boomerang's Give to Get Session Freedom Hack. 3 keys to break free from fear. Earn more, love more, be more. All right, so welcome to Boomerang's Give to Get Freedom Hack Session. 3 keys to break free from fear. Now, why is this important? Well, maybe like you. What's up, Steph? Maybe like you have been living in today's crazy times. And what the F is going on? We've got all this craziness around COVID and all the wackiness it's how it's infecting every area of our life. Not only that, people have gone a little crazy and speaking their mind in ways that may or may not be as ecological for the rest of society, which may or may not have a direct impact on our lives, both personally and professionally. And then you've got to pick a side. What the heck is going on, right? So people are just losing their minds and we're stuck in the middle of it. Here's what I know about you. If you're watching this, you are a thinker, you are pragmatic, you are an entrepreneur, you are someone who understands that people make decisions and we solve problems. So here's another problem. Oh my gosh, the economy, jobs, and by the way, different areas are now having new problems. Maybe if you are wanting to be responsible for the decisions you make for your body, you may find yourself in a situation that says, well, then you're not welcome to work here anymore, which means entrepreneurship is vital and it's so important right now for us. And we need to step up, serve the community with the problems, solutions, and opportunities we have. Because why? Well, this may be our new normal if we can travel at all. And then, of course, this horrible word that I just used, new normal. But wait, there's more. So now with all of this, there's secondary and tertiary outcomes that may as well have a direct impact on our lives. We've got crime skyrocketing. We've got diseases running rampant. We've got people traveling all over when they shouldn't be and people being stopped to travel when they should be. What's going on in this bizarre world? Well, have no fear. We're here to help. So if you haven't already gotten on board with the Boomerang mission, if you're not yet a boomer, you're not yet in the mindset of giving to get, you will be. Because why? Here's our mission. We want to help you find your authentic self and support your mission. Here's what we know about you. If you're watching this right now, you are mission driven. You've got something to bring to the world, and maybe you're already doing it, or maybe you're seeking a way to do so. What we're going to do is help you awaken the warrior within and retire the worrier once and for all so that you can live courageously. So what does that mean? Well, you're in the right place if you're stressed out. If you're human at all and you've got any empathy and compassion, you are probably going, what the F? And you might be finding other ways to deal with, to shut that part of you down, because in so many ways, what's happening in the world is so incongruent, so discordant that we can't even deal with. It makes no sense. So maybe we're self-medicating with distractions of all sorts. Some people choose drugs or alcohol. Some people might get into food or porn or binge watching Netflix or who knows, shopping, right? Have you noticed that maybe we might be finding some ways to distract ourselves from all the craziness? but also tensions might be rising in the house because of it. So not only are we all stressed to the max and maybe we're finding ways to avoid dealing with some of these challenges, it's also affecting our relationships in the home, whether it be with your family, with your friends, who knows? It's just tensions are everywhere. And maybe you've gotten to the point where you're actually starting to get a little concerned that you may not be able to provide for your family, or that your legacy is being challenged, that you've put all of this work into creating something that lives on beyond you, and now because of things that are not in your control, it's getting in the way and you're looking for answers. And the truth is, you realize things must change, but you are now ready to take personal responsibility and change them. So in today's training, what we're going to do is we're going to discuss, we're going to train on how to have emotional and psychological freedom, which ultimately will create financial freedom. The personal drives the professional. So we'll discuss how emotional resourcefulness leads to success and give you some specific actionable tools to help you create the life you desire, right? And unpack the science of fear. Now, who is this not for? Well, this is not for people who are not playing full out, because these are people who are willing to look at what is fear. If you're willing to have that conversation, you're in the right place, right? And what are you afraid of? Well, oftentimes people will say, I'm afraid to fail. And the truth is, failure is only feedback, and we can prove that to you. You know, the truth is, most people, while they may not want to admit it, are afraid of success, because now this is a new level of accountability. There's a new level of expectation, and then it adds more leverage of responsibility to perform at a higher level. So if you really can buy into your true power, you might want to also think about the relationship with your fear of success. We're also fear of being rejected. Now, this is a challenge if you're an entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur, you've got to be selling, you've got to be marketing, you've got to be promoting yourself. And if you've got a fear of rejection, this may get in the way. Maybe you're just starting out and part of you's thinking, you know what, I don't want to be found out that I'm an imposter, that I only have, X amount of years of experience, of training, of what have you. Or you're just afraid that things are too hard, right? Or they're complicated. You get overwhelmed. You get code alerts all the time, or you just simply don't know where to start. And if you have not gotten on board and dug into all of the trainings and Give to Get as a boomer, you have access to tools for all of this.
On a scale of 1 to 5, would you give yourself a 5 on achieving what you want in life? If your answer is anything less than a 5, right now, I have something awesome for you. Achieving your goals and living your life at a 5 isn't easy. Most people aren't prepared to focus, stay disciplined, and do the everyday work that is necessary to achieve amazing results. But since you're watching this, then I'm guessing that you're not one of those people. And this is an opportunity that will change your life. Give to Get is a global program that brings together world-class coaching and combines it with empowering masterminds and networking opportunities. We provide 5-star guidance for the price of a cup of coffee a day. To find out more, click on the link in the description of this coaching session.
So I digress. Why now? Well, here's the truth. If you don't take control of this, you run the risk of losing literally everything now. Like at one point, maybe when we would say this, and while it was still true, the timeline was a little bit longer, things have compressed even more. This is no longer even close to hyperbole. We could be easily at the brink of losing everything, our family, our finances, and your self-respect. And the truth is, your family is looking for you to lead. If you lose it, they will lose it. We're leading by example. Under this pressure of what's happening, we're teaching people how we are going to handle this stress. Now, I don't want to get too dark into the otherness of all what's going on, but people who are just falling prey to don't do what they tell me, what are you teaching your family? What kind of leaders are they going to be when they've got to grow their business and they're going to have to come up to some challenges, some resistance? So those that see the opportunity now, though, they will succeed. Because if you don't manage your state now, you're going to miss every opportunity and they'll be lost forever. How many of you have said this? Man, if only I bought the house I'm living in now, if I had bought it 10 years sooner, if I had bought a real estate 10 years ago, oh my gosh, I'd be a gazillionaire. Because the houses that we're looking at now for $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 were like $50,000, $60,000, and we're like, oh, should have taken advantage of it, right? Why didn't we? Because everything that we're talking about in this training, fear, lack of emotional mastery. Now, real quickly, why me? This isn't to impress you. This is to impress upon you. I have accomplished a few things that I want to share with you. So I've been on the road with Tony Robbins for about 4 years. I've shared the stage with him, shared the stage with Les Brown. You got greatness in you. You got to be hungry. I've also worked with Dee Snider, co-produced Second Widowmaker record. There's my beautiful wife, Heidi, with Tony at the premiere of Tony's I'm Not Your Guru, where we watched it with him. I'm blessed to work with my wife. There we are working together here, right? Now, I'm only sharing that because little leverage of to like who I am and why I'm sharing this. Because I didn't wake up one day and just all of a sudden started working for Tony. I was like, hey, you know what? Hey, Tony, let me come work for you. No, it didn't work like that. I grew up and I always felt like an outcast. I was like called the dirtbag. I was, the stoner loser, right? I was going to be nothing. I was worthless, right? And what happened was through my growing up, and true story, won't go too deep into it, I got kicked out of every school I went to. Literally. Every school I went to kicked me out. And fortunately, after a barrage of tests, they found out that it was not intellectual, it was behavioral, so I was able to figure out a way to get it done. But really what happened was I ended up being pissed or depressed. It was like my two emotions. That was all I had. I was either pissed at the world or depressed. Nobody likes me. Right? And I was literally breaking stuff all the time. Literally every wall in our house had to be repaired because I had punched holes in every hole, every wall, every door in the house that I grew up in. As a matter of fact, I broke my knuckles once because I missed and I hit a beam. And then I found out about Tony, and that really set me on a path to learning to own myself. And what I did was just starting to learn some of these tools, I was able to create or invent who I became. And then I ended up going full bore into my music career. And real quickly, that's Hanson. Remember, there I played, I shared the stage with Tico Torres and Nico McBrain. They were playing drums. There I am. I was at an event with Nile Rodgers. There I was at a party with, it was Dee's birthday party with Tony Harnell, Sebastian Bach. There I played golf with Alice Cooper. There I went singing with him and Little Steven. That was my band Fat. And these are like some tremendous A-listers, musicians in Nashville. Now, imagine this. Here we are at the top of the world. I'm, winning the Grammys, doing all this amazing stuff. Everything's going great. Until it wasn't. I experienced what many people did at the time, and we didn't have a word for it. Nowadays, it's called, an industry disruptor. Look what Airbnb did. Look what, what's the other one? We got Airbnb. What's the other disruptor technology? You know what I'm saying. This word is being used quite a bit. For me, and the industry, as in the music industry, technology changed everything. That's when, the peer-to-peer stuff, Napster, and all those technologies came out, and it decimated the music industry. It changed everything. So I lost everything. I literally lost everything, and I had to start over from scratch. I lost my house, I lost my wife, I lost my career, I lost everything because I had all of my eggs, and you'll learn this when you get more deeper into the Give to Get program. I put all of my eggs in one basket. That was the music basket. And when that went, I went. So I had to reinvent myself and start over. And Freedom Hack, what we're talking about here, is the byproduct. So by doing what I share in the Freedom Hack program, which we're going to cover high level, is I was able to reinvent myself. I ultimately became a national trainer for Tony Robbins, traveled, toured the country. I became an international speaker, speaking in almost every country on the planet, at least now virtually. I haven't done them all live, unfortunately. And I also, though, really important, became the man to attract and keep. We've got to remember that other piece is important. The woman of my dreams and now family. And there's our beautiful daughter. This is a few years old. She is going to be 7 in a couple of weeks. Now, the next thing I did was then started teaching it. So I was recruited by a nationally known drug and alcohol treatment center where we brought this personal development to that world. So people who were struggling with drugs and alcohol, who had lost everything themselves, were living with us basically in the treatment center. They went through detox and then intensive treatment to all the way to outpatient. And we would have them from a month to 6 months or more. During that time, I wrote this book called Under Construction, Navigating the Detours on the Road to Recovery on HCI and Simon Schuster. And I was speaking nationally on addiction and recovery so that the docs and the therapists could get their continuing education units, their CEUs. Now, I'm just sharing all that just to give some format of high level of like, okay, here's what I've done. Whoop-de-doo. But really what's important is you. Here's what I know. I know that you have greatness in you. I know that you wouldn't be here if there wasn't part of you going, I'm destined for more. I can do more. I have more to offer. That in your heart, there's something pulling you to get to the next level, and you just might be stuck, right? You want to be able to be the person you're meant to be, but for no fault of your own. It's been ripped from you. Like what's going on in the world today, you have no control over what's happening out there. All you can do is what you can do. And you're ready to step up into your true potential. You are a leader and you're willing to be responsible for your life. And you know that you must step up now. So let's talk about this quickly. Like, where does fear live? What is fear? Well, it's really interesting. If you look at this little diagram of our brain, you'll see these 2 dots here. These are roughly about the size of an almond. And this is the amygdala. This is the part of our brain that all it thinks is, am I safe? It's just checking it. It's all the fear, all the emotions, everything live right here. This tiny little thing controls almost all of our life. Which is crazy because it's so tiny. But here's really the 2 questions that it's going on. It's the fear behind the fear. The first fear is the fear that we're not enough. We're not good enough. We're not strong enough. We're not funny enough. We're not tall enough. We're not good looking enough. We're always comparing ourselves to someone, something, some situation, and feel like we're not enough. And then behind that, the deepest fear is if I'm not enough, then I won't be loved. No one's going to love me if I'm not enough. Behind all of everything we do, this is at the core of it. Now, where does it show up? Well, it shows up in our relationships. It shows up in our confidence in our relationships, what we will settle for, what we won't settle for. It shows up in our, in our business. Now, with relationships, this is a difference of going up to someone who you think might be out of your league or not. Like, I married up. I know it. I mean, I married way up, right? Because, though, I didn't let the fear of kind of going, oh, what if she thinks I'm not good enough, tall enough, smart enough? Because she told me I wasn't tall enough. That didn't stop me. I'm like, really? That's your criteria? I think I can work with that. That is, while that's something I can't change, I think your relationship around that height is going to be flexible. It also affects our business, right? It affects our business. It affects our offer. Like if we don't think we're good enough, we're not going to ask for what we deserve. If we don't think we're good enough, we may not go to the businesses or to the people. We may not even ask for the sale at all. It's not even like asking for what we deserve. We may be not even asking for the sale. It affects our health. We don't treat ourselves enough. Our body is our temple. Sometimes we treat ourselves rather poorly. We put things in our body that are not healthy. It certainly affects our wealth because you are earning exactly what you believe you deserve. No more, no less. So if you don't feel worthy, if you're afraid that you're not enough, you won't ask for enough. You won't have a thermostat that's high enough. And again, dig into the Give to Get programs. You're a boomer, dig in because there's training around all of these. It's also going to affect your ability to take advantage of opportunities. When someone may say, hey, do you want to try this? Do you want to do that? You may go, oh, I don't know. I don't know how to do that. I'm not good enough. What if I fail? What if I, and then I'm going to break rapport with that person. And then lastly, and certainly not least, it affects our spirit, our spiritual connection. It will create a disconnect from God, from your higher power. And what's really interesting, and I'm not preaching here, you find your way, but here's what I found. The more spiritual, the more connected to God people are, the happier they are, the more successful they are, the more grounded they are, the more emotionally intelligent they are. And the people who deny the existence of that are way more bitter, frustrated, angry, blaming, play victims so much. And then they say things like, well, why God? And they'll blame God, even though they say there is no God, which is another interesting position to be. There's a lot of dissonance in the world. We call that cognitive, spiritual, and emotional dissonance. And we are going to eradicate that now. How? Well, all behavior is belief-driven, fueled by emotions. All behavior, every action we do or don't do, every action we take or don't take is belief-driven, fueled by emotions. So what we're going to cover here is that the most important thing you and I can manage is our emotional state and what, because there's an H in it, what we believe. We'll address the 3 pillars of transformation and how our beliefs and how mastering these will transform every area of our life. So with that being said, let's take a quick look at it. First of all, the 3 pillars are state. That's our emotions, right? Our emotions are our state. So you've heard things like state of mind, state of being, right? So what are some states? What do you experience? Strategy, right? What is your plan? What are your goals? And then lastly is our story, and that's the narrative that you and I tell, and that's the story that we are writing. So, pillar number 1, our emotional fuel. It's our state. Now, without diving too deep into it, when you get on board with the Freedom Hack program, we unpack this at length, but let me just show you how it works and why it's important. So, first we have our state. Now, whatever state we are in, whatever mood we are in, whatever emotion we are in, a thing happens, right? A thing happens. Just happens, right? And then based on the state we are in and the filters of our beliefs and the meanings we give it, right? We have this little cycle that happens. We make a decision based on the state that we are in, which will either reinforce these beliefs or based on the meaning we gave the situation, based on the state that we were in, will impact the actions that we take and then will impact our results or our outcome. So when we name some states, if you think about it, here are a list. These aren't all of them. This is just a high-level quick thing. We've got sadness, fear, joy, happiness, anger, depression, bliss, confused, guilt, peace, resignation, calm, frustration, bitterness, anxiety, love, irate, shame, grateful, humor, irritated. So I could go through all that and have fun with making it all sound good, but curiosity, creative, confident, rage, and regret. These are all a variety of emotional states. Now let's imagine for a moment you had this Lamborghini. I forget which model this is, but this is one badass gas-powered car. Right, good. Actually, the one that I want to get is coming out in 2022 is the Cadillac CT5V Blackwing. 680 horsepower, I think. It's badass. 6-speed manual. Anyway, I didn't have a picture of that. So anyway, so here's this Lamborghini. Now, this is a gas-powered. Ask you something. If you were to pull up to this alternative thrift shop with a sale and this wonderful fresh market with this Chevron leaded fuel that's probably from 40 years ago, would you put this crap gas in that supercar? And the answer, if you are at all using your noodle, is heck no. No way would we put gas from this over here in that car. Why not? Because we know that if we did, it would cause permanent damage to the engine. It would knock and ping, and it could do damage to the car. So here's what's interesting about this. Acting, making decisions or taking actions out of fear, anger, anxiety, despair, frustration, resignation, depression, guilt, bitterness, and shame. What kind of results do you think we would experience? Well, let's see. And by the way, before we show this model in practice, I want you to really be honest and think about what's going on in the world today and how have these states been showing up a lot, and how did they get there? So let's imagine for a moment you are filled with anger, you're filled with depression, maybe anxiety, anger, fear, all of these non-resourceful emotions. What decisions would you make about what's going on? What meanings would you give what's going on? And then what kind of actions would you take? Out of fear, anger, frustration, bitterness, anxiety, trepidation, all of these, resignation, shame, what kind of results or outcomes would you get? Well, let's imagine that Lamborghini for a moment. This will be the result when we act out of anger, fear, bitterness, resentment, regret, shame, crash and burn. But let's flip the script, shall we? What if we filled ourselves with resourceful fuel like confidence, gratitude, curiosity? Maybe we could try thinking of things a little differently, perhaps. Certainty, love, maybe some humor. What about courage? Now, by the way, is courage the absence of fear? No. Courage is feeling the fear but doing it anyway. Peace, right? So now let's imagine for a moment you filled yourself with those resourceful states, with confidence, love, gratitude, curiosity, compassion, empathy, right? And then what decisions would you make? What beliefs? How would that reinforce some positive and resourceful beliefs and meanings? Then what kinds of actions would you take? And then what kind of results would you get? And then you would have your true identity when you are guided by God to deliver results, not excuses. And then you would have the life that you deserve, that you desire, that you design, because you are not settling, you are not falling prey to all of the external forces. You are using the power within to get the results you're committed to because you made it from a powerful state. You would never put crap gas in a supercar. You wouldn't get in a plane that wasn't fueled with rocket fuel. If they said, oh, we've got some crap gas from the bodega down here, they'd be like, I'm not getting in the plane. Same is true here. Next is a strategy. So what is a strategy? It's a plan, a method, or a series of maneuvers or stratagems for obtaining a specific goal and or result. Now, here's what's interesting. You and I are wired for non-pain. Right? Remember the amygdala? Right? So neurologically speaking, our pain sensors outnumber our pleasure sensors by a ratio of 10 to 1. So what that really means is that our brain is naturally, or in other words, unconsciously or other than consciously, looking for successful strategies to alleviate or avoid pain. And guess what? Stress is pain. Our bodies respond to stress the same way they do pain. They release cortisol, they release adrenaline, they release all of these actually poisons to our body at consistent levels, which then has us go ouch, and then we find strategies. And our brain is, by the way, our brain is brilliant. People are not lazy. They're extraordinarily motivated to do as little as possible to get a desired result. Our brain is efficient. So when our brain finds a strategy that works, that alleviates or reduces stress, anxiety, and or pain, the brain says, aha, do that again. So what happens? We get lost on the internet. Oh, I'm not feeling pain. I'm going down rabbit holes, unless you're going down the news or other craziness. But then again, that's not a whole other conversation. And again, we dive deep into it into Freedom Hack, that people actually do get off on pain as well. There's a lot of other science behind it, which we get into deeply in Freedom Hack program in its entirety. We're just giving you high level. But we could do the TV, right? Go into binge watching series or getting it on the news. Food, comfort food raises dopamine levels. Reading, well, that's a great way to escape. All these aren't bad. Alcohol, does it work? Absolutely, right? Meditation, does that work? Absolutely, right? Just requires a little more effort, right? Exercise, writing, gambling, gaming, these are all a variety of strategies. But what we need to do, and here's one of the actionable pro tips here. Tip number 2 is to ask this question. Are they supporting you? Are they supporting you? You've got to be willing to question it. Man, right now, if we were to ask this about everything that's going on and every opportunity and everything they're saying we should be doing about whatever's going on, when someone tells us and gives us advice, and I'm not talking about just some of the craziness that's going on. I'm talking about when you hire a coach, when you download and get involved in all of the Boomer, the Give to Get, all these programs. Be willing to question them. Don't take them as fact. Don't take me as fact. As a matter of fact, don't believe me. Don't believe me, because if I tell you something, it means nothing. Try it on. Question it. And if it works, listen to yourself. And the question is, are these strategies taking you closer or further away from your goals? Just ask that question. Is this taking me closer or further to my goals? Am I getting closer to my outcome or further away? And then ask this tougher question. Am I doing this for short-term benefit at the cost of long-term gain? Now, again, I'm not going down the rabbit hole. I just want you to think. Imagine if we asked these questions at the beginning of all the craziness. If we said, well, wait a minute, hold on. Are we reacting or responding? What's our ultimate goal beyond just the short-term goals? What's the long-term goal? And then now run it through, play the tape, play it out. Where is this going to take us? If we continue down this path, where will this take us? Where will this take us in your business? Where will it take you in your personal life? Where will it take you in your relationship, in your health? And this was on every area of life. This isn't again about all the craziness that's going on. This is in your business. This is in your relationship. Are you answering these questions? And if not, give them a shot. And the third pillar is our story. And here's what's interesting. You are the author. You're the author. You are writing your story, even if you let someone else write it for you. But here's what's interesting. You are also the lead character. And you're the director and the producer. You're also the casting agent. You decide who's going to be coming in the movie or not. You're also the marketer. You're the one who's basically going, hey, buy my story here. Hey, buy into my whatever it is, my BS, my belief system. You're also the narrator. We are all of this. So when you step back and you just look at what's going on right now, how is your story making you feel right now? And are you ready to write a new chapter? So you are on and writing your heroes or warriors journey. And now is the time to recognize that we are in that battle. Now is also the time to step up and take control once and for all as the hero of your story. When you can have this distinction, last tip, the pro tip here, recognize you are the author, the director, the star, the narrator, the marketer. You are designing, writing, and living your story right now. And if you think about it, at the end of our days, what are we going to have? A collection of stories. And at the end of the day, at the end of our lives, do you want your story to be a warning or an example? Like to imagine you're sitting in the rocking chair at the end of your days, looking back, rocking, looking back at all of the experiences. And which phrase would you like, and are you committed to repeating your mantra? Do you want it to be, I wish I had. I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. Or, I'm glad I did. I'm glad I took action. I'm glad I took chances. I'm glad I stepped up. I'm glad I did what was hard. I'm glad I did what others didn't so that I could have in my life what others couldn't. So, high level. Again, you go into Give to Get. You're a member. You're a boomer. You can gain access to these trainings. So, state, first pillar. This is your emotions, your emotional fuel. Second is your strategy, your plan. Third is the story, the narrative that you tell. So, another quick pro tips here. Know your desired outcome. So, answer your questions for you. Do you want more freedom in every way in your life? Now, by the way, I just want to share this with you. This training freedom hack, this is well before all of the craziness right now. So, this is not a political statement. This is genuine freedom in your life, financial freedom, emotional freedom, spiritual freedom. Do you want to be the exemplar of possibility for your family? Do you want to live what's possible? Lead by example. And are you committed to deliver results, not excuses? So here's what we got to do. You got to think now's the time to make a decision. When would now be the best time? It's always now. Now is the time to take action. Any distinctions, any decisions that you make, take action as soon as you make that decision. If you don't take action at the time of a decision, procrastination kicks in and it no longer becomes a priority, and then becomes a woulda, shoulda, coulda. So once you decide from decidre to cut off, then you take action. Now here's an important remembrance. The decisions and actions of the past brought you to where you are today. That's not to beat anyone up, because if you're loving life and you're rocking it, well, that's because of the hard decisions and tough actions you took. And our good friend Tony Robbins is famous for saying this. It's in moments of decision that our destiny is shaped. So choose wisely. Or it might have been Yoda. I'm not sure. No, it was Tony. So the question becomes, how much would your life change after mastering your emotions? Think about it. Like if you were to just step up and if you notice that you've been drugged down, and by the way, I train this stuff. I live, eat, and breathe this stuff. I still get brought down. I'm feeling the energy around the world, and it does have an impact. So if you think that you're not impacted by all of the craziness that's going on, you lie about other things too. And now, obviously, I can't teach all of this in this short period of time we have together. So I encourage you to dig in deep to the library here with Give to Get. As a boomer, you have access to these. Get access to this, and the Freedom Hack program is in there. But I also want you to bear this in mind. What we used to think is just do it. Nike gave it away, right? But no, you got to do the right things. Just doing it is great, and if that's better than not doing anything at all. But also, you need to take the advice, the guidance of people who have led the way. The old saying we used to think, I got to work hard. Well, yes and no. You could be working hard in the wrong direction. It's all who you know. Yes, and if you are showing up with all those non-resourceful negative emotions, the who you know is not going to share who they know with you because you're bringing them down. So it's more to it. It goes deeper than this. Having an extraordinary network is incredible. It is true. Your network is your net worth, provided you are worth bringing into someone else's network. And the only thing that will prevent that is if you are not showing up in empowered, passionate, positive states. Grin and bear it. Again, elements of truth to that, meaning you got to have a relationship with doing things difficult, but that doesn't mean just because it's difficult, you need to do it. You've got to be smart. Because it used to be that success was 80% just showing up. Like, just show up. You should be great. Not so much. Then we heard, well, you know what? It's 80% mindset, 20% mechanics, right? You got to show up and have the right mindset. But of course, you got to have the mechanics. Now, we believe that it's like 90 or 95% mindset. Because here's the deal. Once you're in the game and you get in the right game, the people in the game, whether they're your competitors or not, will teach you how to play. They will give you the tools, the resources. And if you think about it, if you're in this community, that's what we're doing here for you. Now, is there a buy-in? Absolutely. Why is there a buy-in? So we know that you participate. If you have no skin in the game, it's like, whatever. It's not going to be important to you, and it's not going to get done, right? Do you take care of a car? Like when it's not yours, you don't take care of it. I'll share this. One time I rented a car, and the guy's like, hey, come here. You know what the fastest car is? I was like, no, what? He goes, a rental. Right? Why? Because when it's not ours, we don't take care of it. We beat the crap out of it, right? It's not important to us. But when it's your car, you're washing it and you're changing the oil and you're doing all of those things, right? So right now, we need you. The world needs you. God, Mother Nature, the universe needs us to step up, to be the best version of yourself. You need to do this for your spouse, for your children, for your nephews, your nieces, for all the people who look up to you, who you are an influencer of. For your business. Man, if you want your business to not only survive but thrive, you got to step up and access your true power, your true identity. The leader within you's got to explode. And for your community, I don't want to hear, if you get vaccinated, not vaccinated, that's for your community. No, just be awesome. Stop with rules. Step up and serve. Make a difference in people's lives. It doesn't matter anything else but who you are and how you show up. What is your character? What value are you bringing to the community, to society? Period. You step in that center, you step up. If everybody were to just step up and be the true leader they're destined to be, that they were connected to God, to a higher power, that is when the world will change positively. And we make this decision from a powerful state. So this is a final tip. Anytime you make a decision, get yourself into a state, and teach us in Freedom Hack and all that, but just you need to, and I don't use, this is the reason why I say need, it's a must, because if you make a decision about anything from a non-resourceful state, from anger, fear, frustration, bitterness, the decision is not going to be congruent with your desired outcome. It's going to be congruent with what it is you fear, what it is you're angry about, what it is you're afraid of, what are you resentful about. You are just going to manifest exactly what you're trying to avoid because you've already primed your pump with it. But when you put yourself in a resourceful state, get in a state of gratitude, of love, of confidence, of certainty, of curiosity, of belief that it's possible, to a state of being guided by God, by something bigger than you, the decisions and the actions that you take will be congruent with the energy that you fueled yourself with in the first place. And that's all I have to say about that. So, thank you for your time, whether you are here live with us or whether you're on a repeat. If you have any questions, thoughts, please respond, comment, share. Let's make this a two-way conversation, not just a didactic lecture. We are here to serve, and if you're not yet a boomer and part of the Give to Get community, look into it, ask questions, find a way to learn more so that you can take your life to the next level so that we can live, give, and love with even more velocity to change and transform the world. God bless.